Welcome back to the Slanted Attic Experience. I'm your host, Tyler, and this is episode 57. Ryan is in the attic for the first time, and this one has a little bit of everything. We get into Chicago sports, Ohio State football, sports betting, and what it genuinely takes to build a college program in the NIL and transfer portal era. Will Howard's move to Pittsburgh gets the full breakdown. The Steelers dynasty of the 2010s gets its flowers, and Ryan brings a first-hand Saquon Barkley story to the table that you do not want to miss. From there, we shift into live music, Richmond's new amphitheater, the Sphere in Las Vegas, and how AI and social media algorithms are changing the way we consume it all. We close things out with college football relegation, the expanded playoff, live CFP picks, and Super Bowl predictions we are willing to stake our reputations on. This episode has real momentum from start to finish, and Ryan brings it every step of the way. Let's get into it.
Sweet. All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Slanted Attic Experience. By now, you should all know the drill. You've heard the spiel in the beginning. I'm going to go back through, create a topic list of what Ryan and I talk about, and you'll get a little synopsis of what's going on. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ryan to all you listeners out there. Why don't you just give everybody a little overview of yourself? Tell us about Chicago a little bit. As you had mentioned, you moved around a little bit, and then we'll probably just roll right into football.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, like you said, for everyone listening, name's Ryan. We got introduced to each other kind of through our mutual friend Ben, but right. Ben and I grew up together, but been living out in Chicago for the past 5 years. I went to Ohio State right after, so originally grew up in Connecticut, kind of got the pipeline of just moving more and more west as time goes, but as I ended up in Chicago, kind of fell in love with the place and been here ever since. Every time I say I want to try somewhere new, I just keep saying, what's to do around here. So,
yeah,
been doing that and been having a great time.
Yeah, I feel like Chicago's a place where you get out of everything. I know they have like Lollapalooza, some music festivals. You got professional sports. I mean, what do you have? 5 teams, maybe like an MLS team. I know 2 baseball, hockey, football. That's 4.
Yep.
And then
you got the Chicago Sky, WNBA team. You got Chicago Fire for MLS.
Money, huge sports city.
Yeah, so as a sports fan, obviously it's great to see a bunch of stuff in person. I know the Cubs have been they hosted the wild card, which was really cool. The city was electric when that was going on for MLB, but they're kind of getting smacked around with the Brewers right now. So city's on a bit of a lull in that area, but you can get pretty cheap tickets to all these places. I've been lucky to go to Blackhawks games, Bulls games, Bears games. So if you're a fan of sports in general, it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And that's one thing Richmond does lack. We're building a new baseball stadium for the Richmond Flying Squirrels, which I believe are a AAA affiliate to the San Francisco Giants.
Fun.
And other than that, I mean, I take that back. We have a semi-pro soccer team and then women's soccer team. And then apparently there's some other sports to watch around here, but nothing as far as like professional goes. So that's my big gripe. I wish there was a professional sports team here, but I forgot the Chicago Bulls. One note I wanted to make about the Cubs. I had them win the NL Central this year. As everybody out there knows, I am a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, and seeing Paul Skeens deliver this year was awesome. But
he's great.
Dude, he's going to be unbelievable, but he'll just end up like the rest of our good players, in the past 2-3 decades on the Yankees, bro, or the Dodgers.
It's a rite of passage at this point. I feel like all the talent's just shipping out to these big name teams.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
the Cubs are playing great baseball, and they kind of they hit that hot streak to start the year into the middle, and then just kind of simmered out towards the end, doing just enough to get in the playoffs. But
yeah, they got some big names on that team. I mean, the Cincinnati Reds, same division. Brewers came off really hot towards the end of the year, so they, continuing their streak. But I mean, the Reds were a notable team. They made the first round of the playoffs, lost to LA, and 3 teams from the NL Central showing up strong. I mean, I won my bet on Pittsburgh this year. I think we were together last year for Ben's birthday when. Or maybe maybe you weren't there. I wish you were there though. I watched the final game of last season. It was like 161 or game 162, and I had the Pirates over, and I hit it against the Yankees.
It's killer.
Yeah, and then this year, I hit on the under with a few games to go. So I'm 2 for 2 with Pirates game total spread. Yeah, which is a crazy stat. I mean, obviously I'm not throwing bucks on that shit, but
No, and still, you gotta count it. I mean,
Yeah.
I like to think that I've, a good sports knowledge, but then again, my betting doesn't like to agree with that. So it's, aside from me just being the blind bias Ohio State bets have been beautiful for me, and the rest has been very tough. So it's kind of still fighting that battle.
yeah, I'm an O for the NFL this season. Grace and I put in the weekly pick'ems every week, and then I'll also do like maybe a 8-leg parlay, depending on how crazy I want to get. But yeah, I'm over this year. In NFL, I have hit a few golf events, but
Really?
yeah, but I mean, I'm not a huge bettor. I throw down like 10 cents, 50 cents, 25 cents. I like to keep the money in my account. I just enjoy.
It's fun even just to sprinkle a little bit, no matter
Yes.
the units you're putting on it. Like I'm
Exactly.
kind of, I got some friends that bet up into the hundreds. Like I like to throw around 5, 10, $15. Depends. Like I don't like to go too much above that. Keep it in
Yeah.
check. But it definitely adds some value to games that you just want to get a little more excitement out of. So it's
Oh, for
kind
sure.
of, it's a double-edged sword though, in the same vein. It's kind of, I don't want to get to a point where I'm doing that for every game just to make watching sports enjoyable. So I try to
Right.
keep that in the front of my mind while, just being an
No,
avid
absolutely.
spectator in general.
Absolutely. And I mean, here in Virginia, you can't bet on collegiate sports in the state of Virginia. So I can't even bet on my Hokies, which is fine because I would have bet on them losing like 4 weeks anyway. I mean, that's been a roller
That's
coaster,
been a
man.
tough one to watch. I've been feeling for you guys. The first week it happened, I kind of gave Ben a little bit of flack,
Yeah.
and then a few more losses. I was like, I can't just, you got some upswings, some downswings. I can't hammer them too hard.
Yeah, this is a big downswing.
I hope. Have you checked in on Mike at all, as of recent? With
Oh,
him being
man.
a pretty avid Penn State fan.
Yeah, not after this weekend. Man, UCLA. Let's talk about that. Wow. I didn't get to watch the game, but I did see the end score. Kind of saw some media circulating that, everybody calling for James Franklin's head. What's your thought? I mean, as an Ohio State fan, the ultimate rival, like I'm sure you want to see good competition between another team of that caliber, but I mean, that's like a cliff, bro. You're falling off. I mean,
I mean,
you
as an
see,
Ohio State fan, keep James Franklin as long as you can keep him. It's no, but to be fair, it's such a hard thing because the classic story with him was that he would win when he was supposed to win, and then would kind of have the slip up against OSU and Michigan. That was kind of like he was a good 9-2, 10-2 kind of guy, and could make
right.
some deep playoff runs like you saw last year, and be competitive when he had like Saquon Barkley and all those different guys. But at some point, you gotta just rip the Band-Aid off. Like for as good of a program as they are, I don't think they should be satisfied just beating up on the Purdue's and the Northwesterns of the world. Like
Mm.
they should have bigger aspirations, and I think it might be time because he's been doing this for like a decade now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the big thing that Mike and I had talked about, for those of you listeners out there, you can reference. I believe it's episode 27 with Mike, maybe like 22. I don't know. He's in the 20s range. We talked about the story of James Franklin and kind of the aftermath of the Paterno scandal that happened there, and apparently, he got a lot of buy-in from the players, and like he's supposed to be this next big coach, and it's been years, and it's kind of like just not panned out for him. So, unfortunately, being a Hokie fan, we've had a lot of coach turnover, which is different than that. They've had some long-standing coaches. Think Pittsburgh Steelers, Green Bay Packers of the world, in collegiate sports, and I don't know, man. It's when do you, I don't know. I feel like these guys are so few and far between. Do you keep throwing shit at the wall until you find something that sticks, or like do you try to work through a 4-year, 5-year plan or implementation that this coach thinks will take your team to the next level? Because honestly, man, with NIL and the transfer portal and revenue sharing, like it's Wild West out here. It's crazy. So,
Oh yeah.
what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the hard part is that I think he's a good recruiter.
Yes.
You know, they have not been short of talent for the past almost 10 years too. You think of these big name receivers, running backs. I mean, maybe the quarterbacks haven't panned out in the NFL as much, but linebackers, tight ends, like they got players across the board. So that's the only side that might be tough if you were to go a different direction. But like you did also just mention, is that they have one of the biggest alumni bases, and they're going to have
Mhm.
NIL money to throw, by the bagful. So I don't think it'd be a problem of talent retention. But it's also one thing to throw a bunch of money at people, and another thing to get people to believe in what you're doing.
Sure.
And I think he's good at that. And I will give him credit for that because he's always had a consistently good program. But I think there's enough parity now in college football that other teams are getting better at a way better rate. That, I mean, this is like the most unique top 10 I've seen in years
Oh, for sure.
of, like Texas A&M and Texas Tech are great. And then all these teams that are coming out of nowhere of like your Clemsons aren't doing as well and your LSUs aren't doing as well, but Ole Miss is shooting up. It's kind of like all these teams all over the place because the field's kind of balanced out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as that tide kind of keeps rising for other college football teams, that window is going to get shorter and shorter. And so I think you might have to kind of make a change soon. In worst case scenario, you throw some money, get some more talent. But
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. And this comes back to my classic argument of Pittsburgh Steelers. What the hell? Big Ben was set to retire for 4 years. We don't draft a quarterback.
yeah,
Virginia Tech, NIL. It's the word's been on the street for 2, 3 seasons that this is coming. Why do we not have a plan? You know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
it's so important for these collegiate programs, especially, NFL salary cap, obviously you can spend more on coaching, facilities, food, you name it, all these other things, treatment. And, but there's currently no salary cap in collegiate sports,
Yeah.
specifically to the FBS, right? Because that's where we're seeing a lot of these athletes kind of flock to, and rightfully so. Are you kidding me, dude? If I was a collegiate football player during this time, this might be the best time ever to be a collegiate football player.
I
The last
100% agree.
and probably the next 2 or 3, because come 2027, 2028, they're going to start to institute maybe a salary cap, maybe legitimate contracts between players and schools. That way they're not going to UNC for a year to play under Bill Belichick, get paid $500K, and then be like, all right, I'm getting, 30 snaps a game. I could be getting 60 at Washington, move across the country, get paid another 250 there to go play there, take a slight cut. And I don't know that we'll start to see that anymore, once this era is kind of eclipsed, just because there's no longevity, no buy-in to the program. A James Franklin, a Dabo Sweeney, excuse me. That's why I think Clemson's struggling with NIL and transfer portal. Like, he wants kids that are going to buy into the program, not kids
Sure.
that want a salary, right? And unfortunately to him, that landscape has changed. It's past,
Yeah,
dude.
it totally is.
You know.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. It's totally changed. I mean, that's the classic, like early to mid 2000s that you think about. And I think Dabo kind of still lives there a little bit. You buy in, we're doing something special here. We're gonna build it up, do something great. Which, granted, still kind of happens. Like, you do want to build a culture with your teams, but my God, if I was 18 years old again and someone put a $1 million check in my face, like, hey, nice culture, great, but I'm gonna go over there and
Whoever's got the checkbook.
it kind of is. I mean, I remember having like $100 on campus and thinking I was the richest man after like an internship and thinking I ran the place. I couldn't even imagine having multiple millions of dollars in that same
Oh yeah.
position.
Oh yeah. And I don't think that includes, probably these kids are, they're still getting the same treatment, right? They're getting cars and tutors and premium physical therapy and box food and smoothies every day. You know what I mean? And not that these kids shouldn't. I mean, I think it's equally as important for them to be on a regiment like that to help them become successful at their sport. But yeah, man, money's changing the landscape for sure. And I'm, as an Ohio State fan, come on, man, you guys are doing something right.
We're doing something right. But we also got a pretty sizable checkbook too, and it'd be kind of ignorant to not, be aware of that as well.
For sure.
But I think why it works is that, if you think of the championship team last year, like that big tagline came out of like, I can't remember, it was like the $20 million team, but like most of it was just like retention of talent and keeping guys there. And so it's not like we're going out and just like hand picking all these people, and like people do enjoy what they're doing and we want to keep them. But so I think it's a kind of a mix of having a good culture that kind of fits that same, Dabo Sweeney type, like you were talking about, buy into what you're doing, also mixed with, we'll give you a little cut on top of it too. And I think that combination has been good. And we've been lucky enough to have the NFL talent to back it up, where like the culture fit actually has viable results. Like you think of all the receivers that come here and you say, oh, hey, there's Olave, there's Garrett Wilson, there's Smith and Jigba, there's, the list goes on and on.
Right.
Like people want to be part of that. And then like, oh, I can get paid and get that coaching and that exposure. So it's a lucky place to be as a lifelong fan.
Oh, for sure. And like you had said, you're doing it correctly in the correct way. Like a lot of these other big schools, huge turnover. They're paying single guys a ton of money. I mean, look at Texas and Arch Manning.
Yeah.
And the checkbook that they got down there. Texas A&M, obviously, they're kind of shooting up a little bit. But I mean, some of these schools that just have unlimited money just don't know how to make it work. And, I'm hoping Will Howard has something to say about that in the next 2 seasons for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I mean,
I love me some Will Howard.
Kudos. Yeah, got to give kudos to Ohio State, man. Honestly, I'm not a hater like the Penn State fans out there. Although, to all my Pennsylvania people, I'm sorry, but it is what it is, man.
I mean, hopefully he gets a little bit of reps under Aaron Rodgers. He can kind of, go into a place with a decent defense and, pieces around him. They can just make it work. You kind of hope for that. And obviously, I'm not even remotely going to compare the two talent-wise, but you kind of hope for that, like, situationally, that Mahomes, Alex Smith type of thing,
Right.
Not in any realm to say that they're the same player, but you kind of hope that you kind of, sit behind a really good NFL vet, obviously with Aaron Rodgers, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Soak it in a little bit and then be ready to take the reins on. And he's got a chip on his shoulder, and I think he fits the kind of the Midwest, the Pittsburgh, a little bit of the grit, kind of the fight. He's got a good energy to him.
He's tall, and I think he throws the ball well. So I think that fits what we're trying to do. Maybe a little scramble action, but I mean, I just like that's something I'm not sure about with Pittsburgh. We've always been more of a play action team and not a quarterback scrambling or quarterback design run team. And I don't know if I'd like to lose that identity because so many players in the league and teams in the league are starting to take advantage of that. I don't know. I don't know if we'd lose an identity or just become a much better team. That's a question for, analytical minds, unlike myself.
It's hard to tell sometimes because there is something to be said about controlling clock and taking their shots and kind of, making safeties and linebackers play up and then burning them over the top and playing just stout defense and that style of ball, which is still viable. It's just not as flashy as, read option RPO game that you're seeing with like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and kind of stuff like that. But I still think it's stuff that can win games. And you got good coaching. It's annoying style to play against.
Yes, and it's yeah. I can't imagine it for other teams. I got to watch those games. As a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, watching them play every week is exhausting, dude. It's we never win. You know what I mean? It's always close.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think was it last week, and you had that one, the DK Metcalf touchdown that he just burned, and then it was just like a slow grind after that. I felt like.
Yeah, we were up by 2 scores, and let them get back into the football game. That's the problem. Like we don't know how to end it, and I think that's been the entirety of Tomlin's tenure as a coach, as a head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and. Yeah, that's an issue, and, he has 1 Super Bowl to show for it. I think, or does he have 2? I can't remember if he coached the 05 team.
Oh, I'm actually not sure on that either.
That was Cowers last year. I can't remember, but either way, they were Cowers players, both of them, and then he kind of situated himself, got the Killer Bees of the 2010s, fantastic team, and we just couldn't do anything on defense. That was painful sitting through all of those years when we had the team to do it. We just could never.
You really did. And I remember when I would play Madden, like in college, and it was so fun to pick the Steelers. You had the Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown attack, and just a good line, kind of tough defense. And I was like, You guys are darn good, and it's kind of I feel for you because the pieces were for sure there, and I think the culture was kind of there. And then I think you just, a little Vontez perfect knock noggin for Antonio Brown, and then it all started went a little sideways.
Yeah, and then the drop kick on the punter and everything else that
Yeah.
followed that. You remember
Forgot
that
about that.
Yeah, but I just don't think that Pittsburgh defense, even like the 2000s and the 2010s, that wouldn't fly in today's NFL. They are throwing the flags. That's what I've noticed this season. And like some of them, cool with. Player safety, fine. But man, you're telling me, did you watch the Chiefs Jags game last night?
I did. Yep.
Did you see that one play down near it was an interception by the Chiefs, and he just I don't know if it was the safety or the cornerback that was trying to cover the tight end who had an out route to the flat, or maybe he was just bubble route to the flat, and he runs into the receiver, and Trevor Lawrence had already thrown it at that point, and he entered the cornerback on the receiver had intercepted it, and I'm like, dude, that's not legal, is it? I'm not sure if you saw that play. They kind of like showed it after the break and then kind of just moved on really quick. And I saw it again today.
The exact one because it wasn't like the PI in the end zone that you're talking about, like that pick.
No, it was they were on like the 12-yard line and their own 12-yard line. And they were trying to drive back down. It was right after the 99-yard interception return.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City got the ball back, punted, and then it was like the second play of the Jags drive. It was like a little in slant, and he ran right into the safety that was trying to cover the tight end in the flat. And it was a pick.
Oh, and then okay.
And then Kansas City scored 2 plays later.
Sounds about right for the Chiefs.
Yeah. And then I don't understand because I feel like that's huge. And they're going back and reviewing everything else. Why can't they just, that's a game impacting penalty. You know what I mean? That's
totally.
7 points.
Yeah, the PI review process is one that's always going to be touchy. And I feel like it's because didn't they try to implement that for a little bit? And then it just started getting like really just up to interpretation. It's such like a touchy penalty to call because like you see someone get held, like you're watching, you can see hand like jersey in hand. Like
right.
PI, like people hand fight, refs have different tolerances. That's one that's always so tough to pin down. And now with like kind of pick plays and yardage and also like, when you can do what, it's just this big murky area of kind of craziness. But I have noticed a lot more flags this year, and especially with like formations and kind of people lining up and calling illegal formations, illegal shifts, and not offsides, but false starts is kind of
been wild.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, there was oh my God, it was a game like 2 weeks ago where the center brought his head back up and they called a false start on him.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It was crazy.
I was like, what?
Like he's just doing his job.
Yeah, you expect this guy to snap the ball and not be looking at a 350-pound
guy just barreling at him.
Lineman coming at him. Yeah, come on, that's craziness.
I know. They're so used to calling any like minor twitch on a tackle that when the guy's just looking at, the man trying just to run him over, and you're taking 5 yards on it. That's a drive killer, especially if it's like second, third down.
For sure. And then they don't throw flags on these guards, or is it the tackles that are lined up? It's like almost like a rainbow, and they're so far back.
They're so far in the backfield.
And I feel like they jump sometimes before the ball's snapped. I'm not going to lie. They move. They're getting in their stance before it's even snapped.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the whole, like, Philly tush push controversy that was kind of going around?
Yep.
That, the guards and tackles are just shooting out before the ball's even kind of snapping. But it's just such a scrum that, it's hard to see.
Yeah, they can't.
So, yeah, it's so weird. Weird's maybe not the right word. It's so interesting on what they call because on that rainbowing thing, there was one game, I swear to God, they called it like 6-7 times. And it was like, it like made the game stop. And then after that singular one, I never saw it called again. And so it's ebbs and flows of how much the Zebras want to kind of play.
Right. I'm always of the notion that you should kind of let the guys play. Obviously, legitimate fouls need to be called. Because now I'm here armchair coaching on the couch. Oh, that's fucking pass interference. That's holding. Technically, based on the rules, I'm pretty sure that it is. But are you going to call that every single time? How do you discern between when's an okay time to call that foul and when's not? Like, I don't know, man. That's where it gets
Yeah,
so.
I think you kind of got to go with in basketball sometimes does this, especially around playoff season.
Yeah.
Of the classic phrase of, sometimes you're letting the boys play. And
Right.
which is, you're not going to put that in an NFL rule book, but I like games where there's a good amount of hand fighting. Both guys can be competitive, and especially corner being like the hardest position on the field, at least I think. It's the rules are already stacked against you. Give them a fighting chance. Now, granted, if you take somebody's arm on a wide open catch and you rip it away from the ball, yeah, throw a flag. But if he's slapping at you and pushing a little bit and you're doing the same thing, like, I have no problem on letting the play just play.
Right. Nah, I'm here with that. 100%. What's the harm in doing that? I think that would. I don't know. I feel like there's already so much competitiveness within the NFL. I mean, you had the Browns beat the Packers, who people thought were unstoppable week 3. You know what I mean? Like, it can happen. Teams can lose to other shit teams because all of these guys are insane level athletes. You know what I mean?
Oh,
The
yeah.
best athletes in the world are playing football and basketball. And that's my statement, but that's probably factual. You know what I mean? That's where the most money is earned. Maybe soccer. Soccer might be able to be lumped into that. But like, I don't know, man. Football and basketball, and once you get to a certain level, it's all competitive, I feel like. And, keeping it at 53-man rosters with 32 teams, how many guys are actually in the league and not on just practice squad? It's a small pool.
And it's the most elite talent, like you just said. Like, there's going to be good parity across the entire league. And also, even back to the flag thing, you're going to have to compete as hard as you can, even stand a chance if people are that good.
Right. That's why I hate to see 15 penalties accepted on a team in a game. Like, the Chiefs had a ton of penalties last night. I'm sure they could have called more, but
it's hard to see a team beat themselves, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, if they're legitimate, and it comes down to discipline. Because you can be as athletic and as good as you want, but if you can't follow the rules, I mean, what else is there to say?
No, absolutely. I'm here with you on that, and that's what that's why Philly won it all last year. I'm convinced. Yeah, they had some talented position players, some extremely high level athletes. Obviously, bringing in Saquon was a great idea, but they just played extremely well situational football. They didn't make a ton of mistakes, and they just rolled over their opponents, controlled the clock. Honestly,
they did their jobs and did them well.
Yes,
and that's granted, that's the bare bones nature of any of it, but they're defenders. They didn't let up the big plays. They kept things in front of them. They ran the ball, controlled the clock, like you said, got first downs. And then when people would go and bite up on that, just bomb it over the top to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and it was beautiful.
Or somehow Saquon rips an 80-yarder, bro. That's insane. I thought
he's so damn good.
Like, I'm like, that's something you only see in college. You rarely see that in the NFL. And obviously that, in our generation of football, there's been some fantastic running backs, but Saquon's legit, man.
Man, funny story about Saquon Barkley. So it's like my sophomore year of college, and it's a night game in Columbus. It's, I think, maybe 1 versus 2. I forget. It was a top 5 matchup.
Yeah.
But for the sake of, embellishing a little bit, let's call it 1 versus 2. Place is going crazy. It's a night game, but we start day drinking at 8. Energy on campus is so high. We roll in after a long day of excitement into the stadium. Like, night starting to kind of fall over the place. 110,000 people, sold out. Places going bananas. Like, you think of Stadium Pulse 1, like it was that. And we are so ready for this game, and the game starts, and the ball just gets booted to Penn State, and I watch Saquon Barkley catch the ball, take like 3 steps in, and just book it to the sideline. I watched him outrun every single person, and houses the opening kickoff. And I swear you could hear a fucking pin drop in that stadium. It got so quiet. We're like, so this guy is as good as everyone's been saying. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, legitimate kickoff too. What's your take on the new kickoff, the kickoff rule?
I kind of like it. And it's not perfect, but I do kind of hate when they botch it and you get the ball right at the 40. Like, I think if they're gonna adjust the rules, maybe that penalty needs to be adjusted slightly. But we all got too comfortable with kickers, especially with how good they're getting, just booting the ball out of the end zone. And
Yep.
so at least it adds some kind of flair, and players are, right there blocking each other, so you're not getting the classic, you know, guy putting his head down, running 50 yards at a wedge on a kickoff. So I kind of like it. There could be some adjustments, but it's unique.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Honestly, like you had said, we got too comfortable with just a touchback. I think it adds in another element of play. And I also agree with the 40-yard thing. I mean, we've already seen it a few times. What is it, week 5? After week 5, we've already seen a couple of instances where the game's close towards the end of the game. It's a 3-point spread, and the kicker botches the kickoff, and all of a sudden they have the ball at the 40, and all they need is 20 yards because now kickers can make 65-yard field goals to tie the game. So it's been very impactful in that way. Again, dude, be like the Rams. Obviously, those guys have practiced the kickoff. Practice the kickoff, and then you won't have that problem in a situation where you need to not have that problem. So I think it comes down to coaching. McVay's always been good at that type of stuff, figuring out the rules and how to best not exploit them, but kind of use them to your advantage. But I don't know. I'm kind of here for it. It makes starting field position a little bit better. Maybe we'll score a little bit more. We'll have to wait till the end of the year to see kind of those statistics.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it also adds a new level of creativity. Like, kickers are trying to put kind of like knuckleball these between, what is it, like the 30 and like the 10, to kind of make people return it with bad field position and putting creative spins on, doing that. I don't like the announcing of like an onside kick, but then again, if you're gonna have the whole setup, it's kind of hard to have both. So I get it, but I do miss the days of, like, you see Pat McAfee just run out and dribble a 10-yarder and fall on it and catch a team off guard or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You can't do shit like that anymore. And yeah, unfortunately, the way it's set up, it wouldn't really work. I guess that makes it even harder for onside kick, onside kicks to happen. I don't know how prevalent they have been in the recent few years. Maybe that's why they decided to change the rule. But let's talk about fourth down conversions, aggressiveness in the NFL, how that landscape has changed, and how Pittsburgh refuses to get behind that. I saw some fucking graph today. It's like fourth down attempts versus yardage versus, I don't know how often they go for it, and we're like in the 0 percentile. We never.
I didn't realize it was that low.
Yeah, we never go for fourth downs. I mean, we had a 4th and 2 and a 4th and 1, I think, this past week that we didn't go for. And then 2 weeks ago, we had like a 4th and 1. We didn't go for it. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Do we not trust our offensive line to push the pile 1 yard? Do we not have a creative enough play to get 2 yards? Like, I get it short, when you only need 1 yard to gain, the field gets way shorter, but we got to have something.
Yeah, you'd think you have someone in the bag, especially with, the level of talent. But I'm a fan of the aggressive nature of.
Me too.
Granted, I don't want people going, 4th and 8 on your own 20, but I appreciate someone that trusts their team, and that, especially in short yardage, especially when teams have really good talent. If you're past even your own 40 and you have a QB that can extend plays and also a solid run game, I'd say go for it every time. I mean, I trust Josh Allen to get me 2 yards almost every time.
Right.
And apply that to any top 5 to 8 quarterback. And I'm surprised that it's taken this long to kind of come around for it. Because I think as the rules have kind of started to benefit offenses more, that the idea of booting the ball down and playing the field position game isn't as appealing as it used to be.
Sure.
And if people are going to score anyways, you might as well be the one scoring yourself. So I'm here for it. And if you can execute, great. And if you can't, then I think that speaks to itself.
Absolutely. And one thing I'll add to that, I think being situationally aware is the most important part. There's a number of times where, I forget which game I was watching this past weekend, and maybe it was like San Francisco, Mac Jones on last Thursday, bringing the dub. You know what I mean? Like, there are a few times where in order to keep momentum in the game, to keep the ball out of the hands of, the other team, you're taking these risks. And yeah, it might have paid off 2 out of 3 times, right? You're getting 66% or 67%. But I'm sure when analytics and statistics come up after the game, you're saving a valuable amount of points, or however they adjust that. The WAR in baseball, it's a good way to calculate a player's strength. But I'm sure if you're situationally aware of those points, you're earning from it, and that's, Pittsburgh is just not willing to take the risk, and that's fine, because I'm numb to it at this point. I understand that it's going to happen on a 4th and 1.5, but
well, maybe they're just so consistent on offense they just never get the 4th down.
That's fair. We definitely do have a couple of 4th downs, but I will say, this podcast will come out 2-3 months from now, and the playoffs will have already taken place. If Pittsburgh makes it to the playoffs, we should not go on 4th downs all year. When it comes time to playoff time, they'll never expect it. No
one's gonna see it coming. Yeah,
no film on the.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Every time, dude. 4th and 10, rip it. We got to play for
Coach,
that.
we're on our own 10. We're like, they're not going to see it.
They have no idea what's coming. Aaron Rodgers, DK.
What are the Steelers sitting at right now, record-wise?
We're 3-1. We have the 3rd best record in the National Football League because we had a bye. We only have 1 loss. We're one of 3 teams with 1 loss, being the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. Both sitting at 4-1.
Company.
Yeah, right. Now we only have 3 wins because we did have a bye. But our schedule is extremely difficult. Obviously, AFC North, we're missing Lamar Jackson right now and Joe Burrow. So that's definitely to our advantage. Don't get me wrong. Ravens, Bengals, interdivisional matchup should still be close, good games. The tenacity's there. The players want to beat Pittsburgh and vice versa. So I think those will be close, and those are hard games no matter who the quarterback is. Obviously, with Lamar out, that's nice. Definitely take that. Same with Joey Burr. Very talented quarterback. Don't let me convince you that he's, neither of them are that good, because they definitely are. But we play the Colts, I think the Jags, the Chiefs, maybe like Houston. I mean, we've only got 1 game the rest of the season that's like a should win, which is Miami. Let me pull up our schedule right now. Oh, the Colts, dude. I was like, before the season started, I'm like, all right, the Colts?
Yeah, you're like, we got the Colts. Great. Now, man, they're just playing some damn good ball.
Oh, my God. Yeah. We got Browns this week. We play Bengals next week, Thursday night. Then we play Packers, Colts, Chargers, Bengals. Bears, depending on where they're at.
Sneaky one. Yep.
Yeah, because I think Caleb Williams is starting to develop a little bit. They've started to figure out the offense. Ben Johnson coming in. Wow, you have a good coach. Maybe we can figure some shit out. So that's low-key. I'm a little worried for that one, because that's a should win, but I don't know that we will.
Yep. Yeah, especially if you get a whole season of growth out of him.
Exactly. And then we got Buffalo. And then Baltimore, week 14. So Lamar should be back.
Yep.
And then we got Miami. So that's the only one where I'm like, okay, we should win that game. And then we got Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore.
Yeah, that's tough. That's definitely tough.
And I'm sure there might be another team out there with a harder strength of schedule, but we haven't played any divisional games yet. You know what I mean? So like we still got all 6 of those, and That's where it's won and lost, man. We could take it this year. AFC North.
Yeah, you definitely could. You absolutely could. I don't know. It's fun to see the Steelers do good. And honestly, as much hate as Aaron Rodgers has kind of gotten over the years, it's still nice to see the guys that I grew up with playing doing well. And so if he slings it this year, I'll be happy. Yeah, I got nothing to complain about.
Dude,
Living in a little bit of nostalgia.
We got Joe Flacco back in the division now, bro. Come on.
It's wild. It's so wild.
Is that crazy? I'm surprised they didn't try to grab Jameis.
Jameis is a damn gunslinger. I love Jameis Winston no matter where he goes. He might throw 30 touchdowns and 30 picks in the same season. You never know.
Dude, bring him there to throw to Jamar Chase every single play.
Seriously. Just have him. Yeah, because he's got a cannon. Just airmail it. I mean, Chase is still balling. I don't know how good Browning is. It's just kind of... I don't know. I feel bad. Fantasy football, my buddy had Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill on the same team, and he's just down so bad.
Yeah, Jamar had a good week this week, but
He did have a good week though.
Speaking from a fan of the AFC North in general and a Pittsburgh experience, we've seen Jake Browning a lot because Joe Burrow has been injury prone. I mean, didn't he win the comeback player of the year last year?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, poor guy, man. I mean, I can only feel so bad for you when you're making what, $450 or $500 million. But I mean,
Yeah.
to not be able to play the sport you love. I mean, yeah.
And I'm kind of freak. Like the one last year's a freak injury, or the year before, I guess I should say.
right.
Like he was throwing did he throw like a 5-yard out, and like tore a
Something like
ligament in
that.
his hand?
Something like that. And it was his thumb, hand,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So unfortunately, the football gods have not been with Cincinnati, and
He just had too much going for him, you know? He's like, hey, you won a national championship. You're really good. You're pretty handsome. Like, we got to balance this out somehow. Just
curse of Vontae's perfect. That's what I'm calling it. Sorry, bro. Getting bad karma. But yeah.
Man, so I was thinking back. When was the last time I caught you in person?
Dude, when's the last time we saw each other? Obviously,
Was it
Bonnaroo.
Rue?
Obviously, Bonnaroo 2023. When else would we have seen each other? I mean, because you've been out in Chicago. I've been diddling around here, and Ben's been up in DC, and I've been up there a fair few times, but I can't remember if we caught each other at the same point in time.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I think I was there once after Rue, and I can't remember what we did. And if we ran into each other, because that Mount Joy concert you went to was before Bonnaroo, right? When I was up there last?
Yes, it had to have been.
Had to have been.
It had to have been. Speaking of live music, let's transition right into that. I've been to a few shows recently. I saw Goose on Friday this week. They were awesome, dude. They were awesome. And then I saw Widespread Panic 2 weeks before that, and they were awesome. So Richmond just built a new amphitheater that just opened up 4 months ago. So now they can finally host some big acts. Because previously they had the National, which is only a couple thousand person venue. Now they can sell 15,000 tickets or whatever the capacity is, maybe 10,000.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the new.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm envious of you seeing Goose.
Oh man,
And Widespread Panic's pretty awesome too.
They were so good. They played Thursday and Friday. Unfortunately, I only went Friday, and they closed the first set with Acadia, if you've heard that song. And I think they looped in some Fish into it. It was like 25 minutes. It was crazy. And then
just jamming.
Yeah, and then I love those types of shows because you're just enjoying yourself, and then all of a sudden, because they do a set break, you're like, you don't know what to hit you. You're like, what do I do? Music just stopped. Like, I don't know how to behave because I was just, so invested.
Just entranced with what was going on.
Dude, those guys are nuts. That's why. I mean, they're crazy. If anybody out there hasn't had the chance to see Goose live, highly recommend it.
Yeah, I was laughing back because I remember when we were at Rue and we split off. And because some guys, I forget, it was some kind of EDM artist was playing. But, you and I ventured off. And I remember watching that jam band where they're bringing in different people from the sets in Bonnaroo.
Yes.
And they were filling in. It was like Corey Wong's jam band.
Yep.
And we were just like standing there like entranced. And then, like you said, it kind of stopped and we are like, what was that? Like it was awesome.
So that's I think they do it every year, and it's called the Super Jam, and they have one artist that performs at the event, do whatever ensemble they want. And the cool thing was that you kind of got into is they brought up artists from different bands, onto the stage, and everybody was jamming together. So that was like super neat. You don't get to see that type of thing often. Like, how often are artists of this caliber all in the same space? You know what I mean? Other than maybe like a recording session or like a planned out event, but like,
Oh, so rare. I mean, those kind of worlds collide because I know Corey Wong from like the guitar scene. Like he's like a crazy good, just like funk guitarist. Obviously, when I was kind of learning, and then you get him, and you have like the lead singer of I'm trying to think of what band it was. If it was like My Morning Jacket or like Wolfpack or whatever, and they're covering a Red Hot Chili Pepper song, and I was like, this is the craziest like crossover I've seen since like the Timmy Turner, Jimmy Neutron Power Hour back in the day, and it was just like it was so fun. It was one of my favorite acts of the entire music festival.
Oh, for sure. No, it was awesome. And it's, like we were talking about before the show had started, I had my buddies who are band members over here, and just kind of the way they talk about music and the ability to kind of share that art form in a space with other people that are also manipulating an instrument, that seems like such a special thing. And to have all those live artists just kind of playing whatever they want, whatever they felt was cool in the moment. I don't think they had a set list for that show. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah, I think they just caught a groove, and then I imagine they had like maybe one or two songs planned out, but the rest was just building off each other.
For
And
sure.
it's so cool to see, especially if people at that high a level at what you do, to be able to pick up on a different genre of music, a different tempo of feel of playing, and make it work with, for the most part, kind of strangers.
Right.
Is really impressive.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, sure, you may have met these guys a few times because you're a touring artist. They're a touring artist. They might be part of record label A or B. We don't need to get into that because I'm pretty sure there's only a couple that control the entire music industry.
Yeah.
But, you're right. They only might have met them twice. They got to shred with this person, and they absolutely did, man. I'll tell you that.
Oh, it was great. Speaking of live music, I just caught Spacey Jane out in Chicago, which is a great show.
How was that? I think
They're
showed
good energy.
Their music.
They're one of my favorite bands right now. I feel like since even COVID, they've clipped into the top 5 whenever I do my Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
I'm always jamming their stuff. And for those out there that don't know, it's kind of like a indie rock, but also with a little bit of, kind of a calmer feel as well. Some slower songs, some love songs, but for the most part, kind of upbeat indie rock. But they just had good energy, and it was at a kind of, when I think of Chicago, the main venues, like the really big artists are going to play like United and Soldier. And then there's this other one called like the Salt Shed, which is for like anyone of any size. But this was at this other venue that I never really heard of up by Wrigley Field that just opened. And so I was like 5 rows back. Like it was a very tight, kind of intimate, concert venue. And I'm standing right there, and I just got to watch them do their whole thing super close, and they put on a great show.
Yeah, I bet. I think, I was going to say, I think you showed Grace and I that band, and are they from the Chicago area, or they just happen to be touring there?
No, they're touring there. What's cool, they're Australian.
What? I don't know.
Yeah. And so I remember I was playing one of their songs, and on Spotify, I was like, oh, like blah, 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 like tickets near you. And I was like, no way. Like these guys are out of like Perth, I think, out in like Australia. And then, they're doing a whole US tour right now. And I bought those tickets months in advance. And I was like, I don't really know when I'm going to get a chance to see them again for a very long time. So I grabbed those right away.
Looks like I may have missed it if they did play in the U.S. because they play tomorrow in Oklahoma. They play the 9th in Austin, Texas. Then they play the City Limits Festival, and then they're in Ireland.
Oh, that's cool.
They're back in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn, they're all over the place.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, though. I didn't realize they had that large of a following. I wonder if
they grew it over time. It's, no shit, but like, but yeah, I feel like they've just consistently put out an album every year and a half. and some songs, like I know like Booster Seat's probably their biggest song, like that went viral on TikTok around COVID.
Yep.
And then they'll have like an occasional song that'll just kind of blow up off of each album. And I think they've just kind of continuously grown because of that. And they make good stuff. I mean, they got really talented people at every instrument, catchy lyrics, and it's hard not to like them.
Yeah, for sure. No, I loved them as soon as you made me hip to their music, and it's so interesting to kind of navigate the musical landscape nowadays, you know, just with Spotify and just having accessibility to everything.
Everything.
So it's even hard for me to discover new music, new artists like that, I feel like, because it's almost too many options. I'm like, I don't know what to look for. Like, are they really curating top 50 indie rock playlists to include Spacey Jane now that they're popular? Maybe, but like,
Yeah,
5
it's
years ago,
it's almost
really.
option like paralysis, you know. You
Yes.
have too many ways you can go about it. And I feel like I haven't been on my game as much of discovering new music and kind of expanding my horizon. I feel like I've gotten a little pigeonholed just because I'll make a playlist off of a certain vibe and then I'll just keep recommending songs on that, which is cool to find artists in that type, but it's kind of the Spotify algorithm has started to kind of group me in a certain area. So I do need to try to break out of that and keep exploring some new options.
Yeah. Yeah. I think live shows is the way to go. You know,
I'm such a big
just go see them. You know what I mean?
yeah. I'm such a big. I will always recommend somebody to go catch somebody in person. It's
Oh,
just
for sure.
it's a good vibe. You can understand exactly how much you can kind of relate and enjoy what they're doing. Because like everyone's gonna have like a song that you can play on repeat, but if you go there and you're like, you know what, they're actually not as cool as I kind of thought, or they're not playing the type of music that kind of relates to me in that sense, you can start to understand it. But that's also the best way of discovering new people, I think.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, have you heard of a guy called Daniel Donato by chance?
The name sounds familiar. I couldn't probably name too many songs at the top of my head.
He's like a bluegrass jam artist. He
Oh,
calls it.
interesting.
He calls it. I forget what he dubs it, but we're gonna be seeing him on Friday of this week, so I'm very excited about that. I actually got to catch him in Austin, Texas, when I was on a bachelor party, and he played at this little venue. Dude, there was like 75 people there. It was 32 degrees in Austin, Texas for this entire weekend. We had a pool.
Wait,
we had,
what?
yeah, oh yeah. It was miserable. It was like a giant cold front that came in on the East Coast or not the East Coast. I guess it was the central U.S. I can't remember exactly what weekend it was, but yeah, it was like 30 to 35 all weekend. So obviously we couldn't like swim in the pool or do anything like that. And there's maybe 75, 80 people all bundled up in this little like outdoor area of like a brewery bar type thing. They had like a little hot dog stand and then the bar set up, outdoor bar set up. And man, he shredded, dude. I don't know. His voice for me is okay. It's good, but the way the man can play an instrument was just impressive.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's someone, you know, if he ever makes it pretty big, you can look back and be like, I was at that show with 70 people and I got to see that early on, which that's always pretty special. But if you're going to see him again, I imagine he's, you know, probably grown in popularity. Is it more like a Billy Strings kind of vibe or like a
Yes, but more electric guitar, if that makes
okay.
any sense.
Yeah.
Because I know Billy, it's hard to compare him to Billy Strings because Billy Strings is just unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
But
He's awesome.
I mean I think he might. Yeah, I mean I've seen Robert Plant play, but I think he might be Billy Strings is the best guitarist I've ever seen play the instrument. I believe, at least the acoustic guitar.
What he can do on an acoustic guitar is
Unreal.
crazy. And I'm sitting there and I have to think I'm at least an okay to mediocre guitar player, but
Right.
God, like playing on an acoustic is one just so hard compared to an electric, and for him to play that like an electric guitar is it's unbelievable. Like guys like him and Marcus King have been another great guitarist that's been kind of growing in popularity. And obviously, like at my core, I'm a diehard Mayer guy,
Sure.
but in terms of like newer guys, yeah, Billy Strings and Marcus King have been killer. But I gotta check out You said it was Daniel Donato was his name?
Daniel Donato. And like, okay, I've been really into jam music recently. So I've been seeing a bunch of shows and things of that nature. But yeah, I don't know if I'd listen to him a whole lot, like just a song on Spotify. You know what I mean? He's that type of artist. So maybe that's
Okay.
why he's not gaining as much popularity. Don't get me wrong, if that's your thing, it's good music in my opinion, but he's not a guy I necessarily am listening to his Spotify tracks. I very
Gotcha.
much enjoyed his live show. Loved the live show, loved every minute of it. I would stand through that weather again 15 times to see that show, you know.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I'm trying to think of people that falls in that same vein for me, but
Yeah, I'm
that's
not
an interesting kind of niche to kind of be in.
right, and I feel like, even in Richmond that's kind of tough. There's a lot of mid-level bands. I mean, Richmond is a big music city, so I'm sure if I spent more time out at venues and watching more live music, I could name a dozen more. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure the same applies in Chicago, but like once, I don't know, some of these Widespread Panic and Goose, both good examples. They're huge, but I love their music. Gotta go see them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of the live show. You know, nothing's pre-recorded. Everybody's creating in real time up there. That's so impressive to me.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's so impressive. And also, I think being able to experience that art with other people is really cool too. I think that's just
Yeah,
another
true.
dynamic of why I love it so much. Because I think back to a couple years ago, maybe 2021, 2022 ish. I really wanted to go see Dead and Co. A lot of my friends were either out of town or just, not their style of music, weren't interested. No big deal. And I went solo, and I was like, I just really want to see him play. And I remember I like sat with this like random family because it was like in the bleachers at Wrigley,
Right.
and they like treated me like I was like their second son, and they were like so happy just to have me be there and like watch what they liked too. And I love that community aspect so much. And like they had no reason to be that nice to me, and just like let me chill with them or talk to me, ask me all these questions about the artist and how long I've been a fan, what's my favorite song, like X, Y, and Z. And I think that same sense of community and interest applies to any live show you go to.
Sure. And like it's pretty easy to say that not all fans / crowds are the same. So, a Dead and Co crowd might be a little bit different than Metallica fans or like,
Sure.
what's the Tool or like
Yeah.
what's the other, there's another big metal artist or even like
Like
dubstep.
Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure plenty of those people are fantastic, perfectly normal and like fun to be around, like good people, but seems like the type of music that would draw maybe some other people that wouldn't be as nice to sit next to in the bleachers of Wrigley Field, as you so suggest.
yeah, it's very true. Probably didn't. It's not helping my case that family was just like stoned off their ass too, like, like watching them jam. So yeah,
That's
you're
one.
definitely correct.
That's one band I definitely missed though, man. Like, would love to see Dead and Co before they stop touring too. I'm sure they'll be around for a little bit longer.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when I was so jealous of people when they were doing their Sphere shows
Yes, that's
and
crazy.
just I know. Explain the Sphere to like an early English peasant. Like their mind couldn't comprehend it. It's mine barely can.
Actually, it's
It's
made of a billion nanopixels that can project at 40,000 frames a second.
it's so crazy in theory.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
especially
yeah.
you add the trippy visuals of a jam band like that, and some of the stuff just looked so out of this world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen it. I've seen a few of those things, and that'd be a cool thing to experience. I wonder what the electricity costs of that building are, though, man.
Bro, I've had that same thought multiple times. And maybe that's like me just getting older. Like when I leave a light, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna get charged for that in my own apartment,
Right.
let alone the Sphere at like any given moment.
Right, it's 20 cents a kilowatt hour or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that brings up the whole AI data center boom thing. You know, those are using more electricity than probably the Sphere is, to be honest with you. We don't have.
Dude, did you see there was some article, and granted I don't really remember who put it out, so maybe it's not insanely accurate, but it was like OpenAI was having not trouble, but anytime someone would ask like ChatGPT for like a request, and then they would say thank you after, like all the power that came from just computing just the thank yous that it would get.
Yes.
The article was like, should you stop saying thank you to ChatGPT? Like essentially was like the whole premise of it.
Yeah, and I believe that to be true. I also read the same thing. So again, maybe it was the same source that I read that's, you know, polarized one way, you know, anti-AI, and got to be careful, man, when they become our overlords. Don't need too much out there on the internet saying bad things about them. So we definitely love you, and we can't wait.
And you are the best thing to happen to our society.
Right.
Dude, I've been saying thank you to Siri since like 2012. All right, like I got a good track record.
Right,
We're
but
gonna be okay.
The problem is it has to read the extra piece of the prompt, and then it has to determine how to react based on those extra words you put in. So like, for instance, you know, I may be doing this wrong, but the way I kind of do is I lay it all out. So when I write stuff for the podcast, I do one for, like, you know, the description and the social media posts.
Yep.
And I lay out, like, I don't know, if it were in Microsoft Word, probably 2-3 pages of information. Write me this, this, and this. Make sure this is structured exactly this way. Do this, this, and that. This is what the guest, you know, says that they do, and this is what the topics list is, and this is how to generate it. This is a previous example. So I only run through and use it once, maybe twice, and it spits out exactly what I want. And I do the same thing for the social media posts. So I'm only using it 3-4 times, whereas people are using it quite literally as like a search function. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like ChatGPT, where's the nearest grocery store? Bro, you're wasting like 16 bottles of water to cool the one piece of equipment, you know, it takes to answer your stupid question. But
I'm not gonna lie, I've also been guilty of that. I'll see like my Safari app and I'll just scroll 2 more and hit the ChatGPT and ask a very basic search question that did not need to be asked in there.
yeah, but
So
again,
as much as I love to laugh at that, I'm also guilty.
no, but you're doing due diligence, man. You searched it on Safari. If Safari doesn't show you what you need, ChatGPT. I'm cool with that. I think it's just tough when people use it for everything. You know,
Yeah.
South Park did a really good joke on it in the first episode of the new season. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
I haven't. I heard like little whispers of it, but I've not.
Yeah, so obviously all the Trump stuff was hilarious too, but it's Randy and Sharon are sitting in bed or whatever. He's like, because I guess they had just had a meeting and they're reinstituting religion in schools. So he gets home, he's like, ChatGPT, is Jesus allowed to come into my son's classroom? And it's like making like some obnoxious noise. ChatGPT is thinking or something like that, and says, it's like, no, you know, it's the separation of church and state, you know, is not allow religious beliefs to be, you know, taught in school systems. And he goes, yeah, I thought so. He says, ChatGPT. And he's like, what should I do about it? And then he asks like 3 more questions, you know, and it's like a 3 or 4 minute scene. And then at the end, he's like, oh, ChatGPT, I'm so thankful to have you. It's so great to have conversations with somebody like this. You know, he's like, there's nobody I could ever talk to this stuff about before. And then like he sets the phone down and the camera pans out and it, you know, his wife's sleeping next to him.
It's been right there.
And I'm like, dude, that is perfect because people are quite lit, dude. The AI girlfriends and the you know, people are using it instead of talking to another person. You know, that's why I like doing the podcast, man.
No, totally. I mean that's a whole nother tangent too. Of I think
Right.
another form of isolation that came kind of post-COVID, post-heavy, you know, social media algorithm, everything that just kind of gets exploited as well, and people double down into that realm. And you're totally right. It's nuts what it can do. I mean, I literally saw a video pretty recently, and it was like God, what was it? Was something 2. It was something with an S, and it was a new AI video generating. It's like Sarah 2 or Sora 2, something like that. and it was producing some crazy videos in a realistic fashion. And it was like, well, I was seeing Stephen Hawking like bombing a fucking half pipe, and I was like, what's going on right now?
Yeah,
And it was like looked like it was actually like being shot live.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy what they can do now, man.
I'm just waiting to, have cops appear at my door and be like, hey, we have footage of you breaking into this bank. Like, your face has been completely generated on this thing. I'm just sitting in trial watching, AI video of me robbing something and just, I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, man, if we're being honest, government don't hate me for saying this, but they've been monitoring you. They know whether you're likely to rob a bank or not. You know what I mean? So they're tracking your search history and all of that fun stuff. We don't get into the Palantir conspiracy theories and all that shebang, but maybe save it for another day. But I feel like they know, and if you were a problem, dude, that reminds me of one of my favorite things on the face of this earth: sitting in Ben's living room after a night out and watching his Instagram feed.
It's actually insane. It is genuinely fucking insane.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy because, like half the users, if not more, with the majority that are bots, half those users, one of those videos would never come across their screen ever in a million years. And this dude is, lions eating people, car crashes.
Yeah. Dude, it's like a Sunday. I like wake up, the birds are chirping, and I was like, let me go pull out my phone. And Ben's like, here's a 12-car pileup and someone gets ejected. And I'm like, what? Like, what are we doing right now?
And it's like, it's almost crazy that I don't know what the algorithm is trying to gain at that point. At that point, it's just craziness, and
it's trying to gain a new member on an FBI watch list. It's what it's trying to gain.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, dude, that it's just so funny to see what's on there and what's not even what's happening in the rest of the world, what content are other people consuming, because obviously I have my algorithm, which is a ton of golf videos, a ton of podcasts, and a ton of exercising stuff, and to me, like, this is where I have like the moral issue. I want to be off social media. I think it's poison. I think it's bad. Other than maybe connecting with relatives who are far away. Then again, just in the text, or you can have like a email thing, whatever. Obviously, easier said than done. It's a little more difficult to do that kind of thing. But having content like those things that I'd listed previously, those aren't bad things to learn about. You know what I mean? Like, I get a lot of educational videos, but then I also see the brain rot. And then that devolves into worse shit. And then
it's such a fine line.
Yeah.
Like you're saying
so quickly.
You do, and I feel like I had to. So I've actually been off of social for probably close to a year now.
Love it. How are we feeling?
Honestly, pretty good. I do. The part where it stinks is where I'll get a text like weeks later. My buddy will be like, "Oh, did you see like so and so got married?" And I was like, "No, like right. I not at all actually." So I do kind of miss seeing updates from my friends, especially like old college friends or high school friends that have moved away. Right. That's the part that I miss the most. But for me, it was my social media got kind of dark. In a sense of like a few years ago, kind of going through some stuff, and it feeds into what you put into it. And you would get one of those like depressing montages of fucking Ryan Gosling like looking out all stern and like, right, and just all these like sad montages. You would spend just a slight bit too long reading one of those, and then the next video would be one, and the next one would be one, and it would kind of compound.
Yep.
As the algorithm does. And then also, when you're in your mid-20s, like, everyone's doing different stuff and is at different points in their life, and you only kind of see the highlights of it. And I'm like, oh, this person's partying in Mykonos, and this person just bought a Tesla, and this person's out in Hawaii, like, on this cool trip, and they're in, like, add in cool thing / best trip ever XYZ. And so
Yep.
I found myself doing a lot of comparing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I wasn't comparing myself to other people, I was kind of just in this select algorithmic rabbit hole that I didn't really enjoy. And I'm also not a social media hater. Like, I think if you enjoy see what people do and like short form content and stuff like that, like, go do your thing. I'm not here to trash on it. It's just not for me.
Yeah. No, all valid points, and you know, yeah, all very valid. And with it kind of pushing you into that certain train of thought or like headspace, I mean, that's why we see so politicized everything. It's either one type of video or another. There's never like, all right, maybe there's an arbitrary argument. Let's just talk about it. And we find that we may agree on more things than you might think. And
Yep.
it just delivers, how do I say this, like consistent paths to one option or the other. And that's no bueno. And I also agree. I think there is a time and place to use it. I think independent journalism important for people to be able to have avenues to kind of get their information out there, and
Totally.
And for people to kind of judge for themselves almost. But yeah, I think I need to be off it. Do you notice better social interaction? I mean, in terms of like you're going out and doing things more than you would maybe be scrolling on your phone, or you might have changed, habits to now you're reading a book instead of watching Instagram reels or something like that.
Yeah, I'd say a tiny bit. It's not going to be like an insane game-changing switch.
Sure.
But I think also it's easy to kind of get your fix on social stuff, just seeing it on social media, as cliche as that kind of sounds. And so when you don't really know what everyone's doing, it makes you at least extend an olive branch in the sense of when I kind of got off of it. Like, I didn't know what like anyone's doing. Like, you don't see somebody's Snapchat story like out at a bar, or like someone's like Instagram story, shopping or going out to eat, and you can like swipe up and do X, Y, and Z. Like, you actually had to go and make a effort to plan stuff out more and reach out in that sense. So it made me kind of be a little bit more active in that sense, which was good. Um, I'd say it opened up slightly in terms of like hobby wise of kind of filling a little bit of a gap, but it wasn't like as drastic as you may think.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely gives you some more time that, when you usually sit there kind of scrolling, an hour or 2 or 3 can go by, if not more, depending on screen time habits. But definitely for a little bit of that time, it made me want to pursue some other hobbies, just to kind of keep myself, I guess, entertained. But
Yeah.
not as drastic as, you see some, funny enough, some posts on social media too. That's like, it's not going to like change your life by any means, but definitely some minor changes for sure.
Yeah, no, and I think the allowable time for other hobbies would be huge for me. Like even with the podcast, man, I don't want to spend time making graphics for everything. My favorite part is having the conversation with guests like you, man. We talk about all the fun things that I enjoy, and thankfully we're passionate about a bunch of the same subjects, and I can't wait to interview more people where they talk about things I don't know about so I can learn more things, right? And yeah, I think it would just give me more time to focus on this. I eventually want to sub it out, man. It's just I'm making a ton of money out here, so the budget's not too huge to be paying people to manage the team and stuff. So but I'm
God,
enjoying
it's
it.
impressive even taking that leap of faith, man, and keeping this going. It's pretty awesome. It's and you're good at what you do. So
I appreciate
I'd
it.
say definitely do whatever you can to keep pursuing it.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna try. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So far so good. I'm getting a good amount of interaction and things, and people want to come on the podcast and share stories, information, opinions with me, and that's the most important part, man. And I don't know if it's Spotify. I've heard that switching hosting systems can really help kind of push your podcast out there, diversify kind of your portfolio, get it to a larger user base. And I don't know. I think we got a lot of good shit here and a lot of interesting conversations, interesting information, a lot of things you can learn from. And just by listening to two, late 20 dudes talk about their experiences in music and football and life in general, social media, that was a great little segment there. Highly recommend everybody save that part or listen to it again. But yeah, man, I mean, sports for me, the teamwork behind it, the strategy, the physicality, the athletics, sports is one of my utmost favorite things, I think, in the universe. Once we're living on Mars, there better be like an intergalactic basketball association or something, the IBA.
Better trademark that early.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, that reminds me. This is a great question for you. And then I'd like to get your thoughts on the rest of the NFL and collegiate season, and then I'll let you go to enjoy the rest of your night. So, last Sports Room podcast, we had an hour and a half long conversation about the collegiate football landscape. So bear in mind, this was it after week one or was it before week one? I think it was like the Saturday of week one of college football. So week 0 had already happened. So a few teams had already played, I believe. And the way it was looking, so things have changed, but the way it was looking early on in the season, we're going to have powerhouses again. What's the best way to kind of increase parity in the league? What about a group tier relegation system? We spent about an hour and a half talking about an entire system. It would be like, I think there's 120 schools in the FBS. You have 5 divisions of 20 teams. And then revenue sharing would be split. 50% goes equally to all teams. And then the other 50% is sectioned off by, level of division. So obviously your Georgias, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your Michigans, they're going to be in tier A, and they're going to be receiving the largest amount of revenue sharing model for the season because they're in tier A. They deserve the most money. They played their way up there. They need to do all of these things, and everything would be a public fund. So it'd be a little socialist for some people, and I think they would kind of hate on it. But then, tier B would get a significantly less margin than C, D, E, all the way down. And then you have the ability to play up and get a higher salary cap by, winning your division, getting transferred up. I don't know what the relegation upwards is called. And then a team from that division will be relegated downwards. Promotion, that's right. And so that way, everybody still gets some money. So you're really small schools. What's a team that got smoked this week, by a mid-level school? Anybody, you know what I mean? They're getting
your MAC schools, your
they're
American
getting
conference
4 times the amount of purchasing power as what they have currently. You know what I mean? And everybody is on a level playing field. They all have the same amount of salary cap within the tiers. So theoretically, it should make it competitive. I think coaching would be the biggest issue at that point. What do you think about a relegation system?
It's definitely interesting. I think a lot of it kind of also depends on that last part that you mentioned, that if those small schools are getting more than what they already kind of are. So otherwise, in that sense, they might just be kind of getting hit harder, potentially. Sure. I guess it depends on the payout, because there's the one world where those schools you rattled off in the kind of beginning of that question continue to dominate and just make more and more money than everyone else. And then, you look in that really annoying patch of college football when it was like Alabama and Clemson played each other for like 5 straight years or whatever in the mid 2010s. That would be the only fear of that. But I like the idea that it adds a level of excitement, and also just like it adds more stakes. Imagine being like I'm trying to think of just a random school, UCLA pops into mind just because they beat Penn State, but like a UCLA or like Missouri or I don't know, random schools that might be just like right in the cusp of tier A and tier B. Like that adds some stakes and some excitement. And then, you see a similar structure in the Premier League when like Leicester City won it in like 2016, and then that kind of changes their whole thing. But I don't know. That also kind of starts to change it into a little bit more of a big business, and I guess it kind of is at this point. So maybe it's just heading in a direction like that.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of framework that happens. And a good point brought up by both Graham and Liam when we were talking about that in the episode is that in the English Premier League relegation system, teams buy players from other teams. You know, with the current NIL landscape we have, you know, and transfer portal, I don't think that's how it works, right? They either are penalized academically or they're not penalized at all, and they can kind of just jump ship whenever. And I think having the relegation system, which would be more contractual, you know, what if a coach of a big name school comes in all of a sudden 2 years, the program drops to tier B? You know what I mean? I think that would be a rude awakening for a team like Alabama or something who gets dropped out in relegation. They're like, oh my God, we have less money. What do we do? You know what I mean? And I think that could be cool to see that. Obviously, they would hate it, you know, and of course, you know, the great state of Alabama as a whole would dislike it as well. But
yeah, I think the only counter. Oh, sorry. Didn't even know.
No. I was finishing up.
When you're wrapping that up. I think the only counterpoint would be I know for also some of those big schools, like football funds everything.
Right.
Like I know at Ohio State, a lot of football revenue would even get filtered into, you know, on top of stuff for classes and also other sports. Like it would, I think they subsidized a couple of women's sports at Ohio State from football revenue. And so I guess for some of these big schools that have a lot of stuff that kind of relies on that, if your Alabamas or your Georgias or your Texases like lost funding in a year, the outrage of like, you know, people are like, what are we even donating money for? And that would be a whole whirlwind of dealing with donations and also with, you know, football funding going elsewhere, X, Y, and Z, you know, kind of that whole deal.
Yeah. So I think with funding in terms of donations and ticket sales, that would go directly back to the school. My biggest revenue sharing model would be media because, you know, SEC network, ACC network. What about the Sun Belt, bro? You know, they're living on something else. And I mean, even the Hokies, we play on CW network. We don't even get the ACC network sometimes, you know, because we're kind of a smaller game. But it would just allow those teams to not have to worry about conference realignment and putting themselves in situations where we don't really want to play that school because it's not a good media acquisition. Why don't we play the schools because it would be great competition or it's a rivalry? You know what I mean? We haven't played West Virginia in like 4 years. What the hell's up with that? You know? Yeah. I mean, I think it was my freshman year we played them last. And just a matchup like that, you know what I mean? That would be fun because there would no longer be conference realignment or conferences, I guess. It would all be one. And another interesting kind of tidbit that we decided would be something fun to add is there's a minimum amount of scheduled games per tier. So you could probably lengthen the season by 1 or 2 games and allow for regional championships, regional matchups, because now, you know, a Virginia might not be playing a Virginia Tech because after this season, they might be in tier 2 and we might be in tier 3. So that kind of allows us to not necessarily exhibition game, but we get to play them because it's an interstate rivalry, right? And that wouldn't really mess up any of the college football playoff standings, power rankings, things like that, because it's not an in-conference game or it's separate, right? And then you have minimum amount of games per tier. So tier A schools will play 5 games tier A, 3 games tier B, 2 games tier C, and 1 game tier D. So the tier D guys can have a chance at the guys at the top once, you know? And then it would go down, you know, tier B schools would play 5 tier B, 3 tier A, or 2 tier A, 3 tier C, whatever, you know, and it kind of would create that competition level to where they're playing everybody around their skill set. You know what I mean? There's not huge beatdowns of LSU playing North Texas, who has a student body of 5,000 kids. You know what I mean? And like the only reason they play that is so they can make the media money to, you know, have the salary for coaches and you know, NIL at this point. So
No, for sure. No, it'd be interesting. I guess what would happen if a tier D team like knocks off a tier A? Do you jump right to tier B, or do you have to fight your way up the ladder?
Great question. I think obviously this is all theoretical and we haven't put pen to paper. And we're like, well, if the NCAA steals our idea, it's out on the internet at this point. So I need intellectual property trademark. But I would say in terms of like strength and power ratings, I think you'd have to develop a system that prioritizes teams within your group, because that should be the best competition for you. But also, like, if you're beating a team 3 steps above you, yeah, that's got to be factored in. And I don't think immediate promotion, but I think that puts you towards the top of the list for a chance to play maybe top 4 teams. Yeah, maybe top 4 teams play in a 4-team playoff to be bumped up type of deal.
Yeah.
And then the bottom 2 teams play to get relegated. Those would be some of the best games, dude.
Oh, I know. Yeah, can you imagine I don't know why Alabama just keeps going back to an Alabama relegation match, potentially.
Yeah,
of
get
just
rid
the
of these
chaos.
bowl games. Get rid of the bowl games. I feel like nobody cares about them unless you're in the CFP.
I'm a big fan of the Duke's Mayo Bowl, so I mean, yes.
See, they can sponsor the Duke's Mayo relegation matchup.
Relegation match. Yeah, the bowl games have fallen from their pedestal, sadly.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I'm a big fan of the playoff. I think the expanded playoffs is one of the best things that happened to college football.
I agree. I mean, you just obviously it's going to take maybe this year's the year. Obviously, last year I think we had 1 or 2 teams that like just weren't in that tier, so to speak.
Yeah.
So this year might be a little more interesting because we're going to have 12 teams that are looking pretty equal so far, man. You know, Carson Beck in Miami, is he going to do it?
They're playing good ball. But even back to last year, I mean, we played our first playoff game was Tennessee at home in a night game. Like, when the hell does that happen? Like, that alone was just cool to see.
Oh, for sure. That
and then just random matchups.
Oh yeah. And that, again, that's what the relegation system would provide. You get to, if Tennessee is going to be one of those playoff teams, you guys would likely play them throughout the year, even though they're not, what are you guys, Big Ten?
Big
right?
Ten, yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, a lot of things to work out because that would piss off
the
entire upper echelon of teams. Yeah. The top 25, every single one of those teams, right? Plus probably a couple more, but I just think
meanwhile, Penn State's jumping for joy. They're ready.
That's right. That's right. Oh no! All right. Before we wrap it up here, who do you see at the end of the season? Obviously, home or take. Give it to me, and then who kind of else is in the mix for the CFP this year?
I mean, it's going to come off bias as hell, but I think the Buckeyes are playing damn good football. Our defense is averaging 5 points per game.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Was this week 6?
Yeah, going into it.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. It's slept on because it's not as flashy as Jeremiah Smith and like Julian saying, but the defense might be better than last year's.
Wow.
I like what Oregon's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they beat us last year in the regular season. Dan Lanning's a dog. He's a hothead, but I kind of like that edge to him. I think they'll be very competitive. You know, it's a shame. Before John Mateer got hurt, Oklahoma was exciting. And they still probably decently are. And then Texas Tech's playing good ball. And Miami's fun. So, I mean, I think I like those 5 teams a lot.
I think that's a safe bet. Not the Hokies. You're not going to throw us up there. We're 2-4.
You know, sometimes you can kind of catch fire. So if I see you guys rattling off like 6 straight, then maybe I'll throw your guys' hat into the ring. But
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to go to the UVA game probably towards the end of this year, which would be fun. But I mean, are they just going to murder us? That's the problem. Their defense.
UVA's been playing some sneaky good football, actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
which is
really impressed with their win over Florida State after their turnaround. I mean, talk about that's what's interesting to me. Before we get off the landscape of college football, I'll ask you about the NFL, and then we'll get out of here. But you have a team like Florida State, who what do they go 2-10
yeah.
the previous year, and then they turn it over with like 30 guys, beat Alabama out
Just go
the
belt
gate.
the ass on Alabama. Yeah.
Like what? And that's one of the crazy things about NIL, where I'm like, all right, that's kind of sweet. I want more of that. Just give it to me.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's funny because like teams are beatable. These powerhouse like Clemson gets upset, Alabama gets upset, Notre Dame gets upset. Like Illinois, well, actually Illinois being better, it's not maybe the best example, but I mean, it's just these teams that have traditionally just appeared to be unstoppable are now getting upset, and it's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think
it's
that the days of teams being like 10 and like 12-0, like you're turn the 2010s Alabama teams of just no one can touch them.
Yep.
Unbeatable. Like I think those days are slowly kind of behind us. Like it's gonna be very normal for teams to have 1-2 losses, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm loving it. I love that nobody's the man on the mountain that'll never come off. I love that the number one changes every week, and UCLA knocks off Penn State, who people had thought were going to be a top 5 team. All these things are happening, and I am pissed that UCLA is the other team that's looking for a head coach, and that was if I were a head coach, I'd be like, I want to go coach those players, ripping on Penn State, but not VP.
Oh, I know.
That's all right.
To do all that after a complete coach carousel wipe is unbelievable.
Yeah, and that was something interesting we didn't talk about, because after, we had fired our head coach, all of a sudden we went on a tear. Negative energy left the building, so to speak. That's what I read a little bit online. Again, internet never lies, but
yeah, I mean, sometimes you just need a change of scenery. And it also, there's nothing more dangerous than someone with nothing to lose.
Yep.
You're already like, you know what? Our coach is out of here. Our season is already kind of going sideways. Screw it. Just go for it. And then sometimes you can kind of, catch lightning in a bottle doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. We won our last 2 games. We should have beat Wake Forest this past week. And after a loss to Vanderbilt, who seems to be a great team, and South Carolina, who was thought to be a great team and kind of fell off a little bit, post week 1 matchup. These were 3 games I expected to win. South Carolina, honestly, kind of expected to win that game too. If we had a little bit better offense, we would have won that football game. So it's just tough to see. I mean, second hire by our athletic director after, the long history career of Frank Beamer. We've had nothing. Honestly, the team was hot when I came in 2016 as a freshman, or 2017, I guess. I guess it would have been fall of 2016. And dude, we were great. Bunch of NFL players are currently in the league.
Oh yeah.
We were top 25 first 2 years, and then all of a sudden we couldn't recruit. Then our players were not good.
Yeah.
And then after 5 seasons, oh no, we have a failed program. All right, like what are we doing here? And then we hire Pry, spend another 3 years trying to figure that out, and it's been the last 8 years has just kind of been limbo.
A little turbulent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, especially if recruiting falls behind a little bit relative to other schools. It's at the end of the day, you can be as good as a coach as you want, but if you don't have the talent there, you're not gonna. You can only do so much. So that's such a key part. So if you don't have a guy that can really do that, then it's tough. That's the hard part. That goes back to that whole from earlier in the podcast, but yeah. It can be tough.
Yeah, we're throwing $230 million at it now, and they're increasing student fees to pay for the new football players. So I thought that was kind of funny.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's $100. $100 a year per student. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money. I mean, damn, like, what's your guys' school size? Isn't like high 30s, right?
I believe so. I think undergrad is at least 30, I want to say, or maybe a little under. But hey, that's some good cash.
Dude, for real.
Let's buy some players, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love that now. I don't have to donate. I don't know, man. I don't know. That entire landscape stresses me out. I'm like, you guys thought paying players directly and going into this with 0 rules was a great idea, and we're still riding with it. So,
It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
But money talks at the end of the day for anything.
Money does talk. One last question before I let you go here. NFL, long season ahead. Who we got? You like anybody in particular? Maybe AFC, NFC teams, and
okay. Yeah. Up until they played the Patriots, I liked what the Bills were doing. But granted, they were winning kind of ugly. But I always enjoy seeing what Josh Allen can do. I think the Lions are going to be pretty darn good. That's just a tough team to beat.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're coached well. Well, actually, Ben Johnson leaving tough, but they're coached well. They got good talent everywhere. I always like the Lions. AFC, I mean, AFC's a little tougher. Can we throw the Steelers in the rematch? But
I'd be willing to put the Colts over us, but I mean, with Baltimore flopping and Kansas City already losing 3 games,
I know, it's unbelievable. So I guess maybe I lean the Bills, but the Jags can stay hot. I mean, shit. I mean, they have enough talent on paper to be decent.
Their defense looks great.
Yeah, they have a really good run defense. You saw the pick 6. I mean, ETN's a good back. Thomas and Strange, and if Travis Hunter can keep progressing, and Lawrence can at least be decent, they'll be all right. The Bucks are fun too.
Yeah, very true. Forgot about the Bucks. They always fly under the radar. Egbuka, what?
Oh, it makes me so happy.
He's crazy.
He never got enough love because he was behind Marvin Harrison and Jeremiah Smith as like the wide receiver 1, but he was always just so good. And then he just came right into the league and just took over. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish my fantasy lineup would love me if I recognize that going in.
I do my main draft with all my college players. So he like him and like Travion flew off the board like so early.
Yeah. Do you guys do a dynasty league, or is it just standard?
We just do a standard one. And honestly, I'm sitting number 1 right now. And I'm pretty darn happy about it.
Hey now. Love that. I'm not doing well. Bad year.
I got lucky, and I got Javonte Williams in like the 8th round.
Yeah. He might be a league winner this year.
He's one of those guys that has potential. So, I mean, I got a triple stack of running backs of him, Bijan Robinson, and DeAndre Swift. So it's like, you got depth, got some decent receivers. I got Baker Mayfield at the helm.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I went early, pulled Josh Allen, and yeah, I made not the best decisions in terms of my drafts this year. Adam and I kind of talked about it, broke it down last episode, but it's okay. You know, there's still the waiver wire, and I excel at the waiver wire, baby. So let's hope we can do something. I'm 1-4 in 1 league, so. And I have more points scored than the entire other division except for 1 player. So
he's got to play better defense, man.
Right, yeah. That just shows. But it's all right. To cap off NFL, I agree with you. I think Bills, AFC, NFC's kind of a toss-up. 49ers look really good. LA Rams look really good. The Packers look good up until they played the Browns. Once the defensive scheme kind of figures them out. Chargers in the AFC, little underdog story there.
I know the Chargers.
Yeah, but we'll see. But I like your picks. Any final comments before we wrap it up here? Anything you'd like to share with the audience before I have you next time in the studio?
Dude, 100%. To share with the audience. Trying to think of some wise words of wisdom. I think even
Yeah.
before I get to that, dude, I just want to say thank you for having me.
Oh,
I
man,
got
of
glasses
course.
chopping up with you. I feel like we haven't caught up in a little bit, like over the phone. So, dude, it's just great to hear from you and just to kind of pick your mind on a different, range of topics. And would love to come on, especially in the studio, and do it again next time.
For sure. Likewise.
For the audience, keep doing what you love and pursue it, and keep doing what makes you happy.
Yeah.
The
Hey.
high level stuff for them.
Hey, great words of wisdom. I mean, couldn't have said it any better myself. And with that, guys, thanks for listening to us the last, hour 45 minutes. And don't forget to take some time. Check out all of our social medias. We're at Slanted Attic or The Slanted Attic Experience. We're available on all podcast platforms. Feel free, reach out if you have anything that you would like us to talk about. If you enjoyed the episode, leave a comment under there. Tell us how fun Ryan's episode was, how knowledgeable he is about sports. And looking forward to having you on again, dude. I do sports podcasts all the time. Would love to book you for one of those. And then, we'll work on a time to get you down in Richmond, visit the studio.
Totally.
Yeah, love it. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.